Welcome to the Crit House, everybody. That is the work of Luis Alvarez Marra. And I hope I got close to the correct pronunciation of your name. And let me just start off by apologizing to people around the world for the two Yankees hats. It's very unfortunate that Phil and Luis have chosen to do that. We much prefer that they would put Red Sox hats on instead, but I couldn't convince them to do otherwise. So the Crit House today, we have Luis Alvarez Marra, who is born in the Dominican Republic. He lives with his wife and daughter and his dog in Barcelona. And then we have here, as the folks helping him out with his photography, the amazing Alex Kilbee, born in South Africa, born and raised, currently living in England, and the host of the Photographic Eye, which is one of, if not the smartest of photographic channels on YouTube. Alex, how's it?
How's it, man? Well, the channel might be smart. It's a shame the host isn't quite.
I'm sure you have good people working with you. Phil Penman is also UK born. He has now been in America, in New York, for a couple of decades. He has documented the streets of New York for 25 years now, and Phil Penman is considered to be one of the current great street photographers amongst us. And Phil, it's great to have you with us as well.
Thanks again. Good to see you all.
It's good to see you too. So, Luis, tell us a little bit about your photography and what it is you're hoping to learn from Alex and Phil.
Well, I'm first of all, thank you for having me and taking your time to help me in the project. I'm a street photographer. I just started 10 years ago from scratch in photography, so I really don't have too much experience. And the main reason, if I have to tell the truth about the two projects, is because the people goes to the beach here in Spain and the coast. So the city, the small towns where I work, gets empty. So I have to. I was looking to do something on the beach. That's what the first reason. And the second one is a trend here among photographers, that if you don't have a project or a book or photo book or whatever, your work is not too serious. Right now, there is a question I have something in my mind that I don't know where to go, if I have to continue with ideas to complete those projects or another one that I have in mind, or I forget about it and continue to do my work in the streets or on the streets, no, and work something about those photos that I bring from the street.
Well, Luis, we've been looking at your pictures as we go through it, and then you mentioned Martin Parr, and I tell you, when I first saw it, I said, it kind of reminds me of Martin Parr stuff. Alex and Phil, why don't you give us your 2 cents on what you're seeing here and what you think might be able to help Luis out?
You okay for me to go first, Phil?
Sure. Yeah, of course, man.
Love it. Yes, the Martin Parr effect. I think, yeah, I'm same, Jeff. As soon as we were looking at it, chemistry. Now it's interesting you said, Luis, that that you're not a fan of Martin Parr. Is that correct?
No, it's not a great fan. Yeah, it's only one book.
Yeah,
that I love. But
the reason I asked is that in some of the pictures, his fingerprints are on this, right? But not the ones that, through this whole series, the photographs that I'm feeling work the best are these little vignettes that feel like they're more painterly, okay? That they're not necessarily a street shot. If you go to the next pictures, number 5, Jeff, right? This just feels like something, it's two people, she's with this kind of inflatable thing, and it's vaguely interesting, so you kind of photograph that. But then if you go on to number 6, okay, like this photograph here, I think the composition's slightly wrong, but this feels more like it's an interesting photograph. And then we go to number 7, and I like the way they're actually stacked up like this. Again, this is, I can see, this more reminds me of Alex Webb, but
It's also, I am also fine.
yeah, there's a, you know, there's a foreground in the middle, there's lots of things going on. It's not quite connecting with me beyond the fact he's wearing this yellow thing. But then if you go to number 8, this is this. So again, so you got the umbrella, and I like the echo, obviously, with the stripes is fairly, you know, on the nose, but it feels like it exists, and it feels like it's whole, whereas the other pictures feel like they're kind of incomplete, or they're just kind of nothing. I mean, Phil, what's your take on that?
Just out of curiosity, Louis, how long have you been shooting this project?
Well, that's another thing. I told Jeff that it's only a couple of summers,
Right.
so it's like 4 months
Yeah.
taking pictures early in the morning and late in the afternoon.
Right.
So I don't know the way that's a mix, or the project goes like 2 ways. One is one of like this photograph, and the other ones. So I can, somebody told me that that he thought in a gallery with those 2 different parts of the gallery, you know, with pictures like this one and the other ones. Yeah, there it's like like this one goes with the other pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
You said about you feel like you have to do a project and you have to do a book, right? So
Well, no, it's
well,
not
no,
that I
this
have.
is it's kind of this thing that people get confused with. Like everybody feels that they have to have a project, or they have to do something, or they have to do a book, like you said, in order to be important. Or most photographers, right, when you do a book, you're not making any money from doing a book. Most people lose money doing a book. Okay, the reason you do a book is because you're marketing your work. It's like getting a portfolio all around the world. Okay, so if you don't have an audience, and you don't have a place to get the book or a publisher, it's not really getting out there, and there's no hurry to do a book. Okay, this project, to me, I can see that it needs more work. Like I can tell that this hasn't been shot over a long period of time. You're going to find that, like, I'll give you an example. I'm going through curating to put together another book, right? And we're going from 20,000 images, edited 20,000 images, probably down to about 200. Okay. So you're going to do certain edits. So you're going to have to put a lot more work into this, because you want to be able to look at the work and see that there's a lot of depth to it. Like, to Alex's point, like there's certain ones that just don't work compositionally, like this one. Also, like number 4, if you just want to go to there, like, to me, these have more of like a fine art look to them. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably actually more sellable than if you were to do it as a street photography point of view. You have, like, can we just flick through them, Jeff?
Sure.
So I wouldn't know. That needs work. That needs work. That's great. Needs more to it. That's good.
Sorry, could I just go back a point? You know, you're talking about the painterly thing. Go back to number 10, please, Jeff.
Sure.
Like this, it feels like it's being composed from various elements, and I think that's kind of something I was sort of thinking about. Is, you know, we're talking about the things. This painterly aspect, this feels like it could be a painting, because that composition feels spot on. Yeah, sorry, I really like this image. I think it's great.
Yeah, like I would go like number 11. It definitely has, like, you know, we say Martin Parrish kind of feel to it. Like, you know, Martin has it's very stylized, right? It's very like in your face, pop color. Okay, this isn't that, which is a good thing, because Martin's thing is his thing, and if you're kind of like following that, then you're basically a copy of something else that already exists. All right, and they've already done it, and they're going to do it better because they spend more time on it. as a photographer, for like everybody, the idea is you're trying to create your own style, your own look, because otherwise you just look like everything else. If you just look on Instagram, for example, most of the time you can't tell who took which picture anymore because they're all copying each other, trying to chase likes. So I like that you're trying to create your own look. Like you said, like the ones that Alex picked out, when they're more painterly, I would rather go down that way, that avenue, and just do more of those.
Yeah. And also, there's something, as you mentioned, that all of those, we'll call them the more painterly ones, they're all shot square.
Right.
Ones that don't seem to be landing are all, you know, like a more normal 35mm format. And that's how interesting. Is that a conscious decision?
Yes, yes, it is. And I just want to say that I want to like a portfolio review in 2020. So
Yeah.
this project was out on a magazine, the most famous magazine here in Spain, and
Congratulations.
it was the same on the review, exactly the same you're talking about. So when I go with the images, there was a conscious. I have a mirrorless camera, a Fujifilm, but I use
Yeah, because it's just there's something about that. Yeah,
I put it in 1:1. See, I put the square format to shoot.
Yeah.
So I compose on that proportion.
Yeah. There's just, as Jeff was flicking through there, Jeff, you go right then to the end. There's a black and white. Yeah.
Yep.
Louis, why did you put this in?
Well, it was I was trying to finish with something about the end of the summer of life, of energy, of all the other things I have on the only one. I have only one picture in black and white.
Yeah, you know, Phil was talking about, you know, the very hard edit process, in the original sense of the term.
Well, it can be arranged.
Yeah, and it's just weird because I obviously you kind of explain why, but it does just feel so at odds with everything else here, and that message that I think you're trying to communicate isn't coming through the image because there's nothing. Also, there's no echoes of that earlier on. So yeah, I was sort of interested.
So
probably.
I think that's good feedback on this project. Luis has another project that he wanted us to take a look at, and I wonder if we might move on to that and have a quick look through. This is called Bonavista, which I will try to quickly go through these. Luis, do you want to talk just real briefly about what this project is so that they have a context?
It's the same theme. When COVID finished, this is one of the biggest markets in Europe. So it's the first place where you get people going around. So I needed a lot. So I started working on that market every Sunday during 2021. And that was another one.
So these are many of these are diptychs that are working together. And I don't know if you've been able to see through these, Phil and Alex, but have any initial thoughts about what he's doing with Bonavista?
I think Phil, because you've obviously had a lot of experience putting books together, maybe you want to take this because I'm wondering you could see something in these images that are arranged as diptychs because.
Oh, there's definitely, yeah, you've definitely, when I saw this, I thought that this was like this was already a pre-planned book and you'd already started working on the layout.
Is that the case, Luis, or is it just they're diptychs that are meant to be diptychs as individual images, individual works?
It was through the project. I was working, and when I was editing the photographs, I just looked for connections, and it was like I was playing with the photographs. So also in the different ratios, normally you use photograph only the same ratio, but I was playing with the images.
You see that in the hats here.
I was
There's nothing wrong with doing like, you know, a lot of photography books, they'll just do like picture, picture, picture. It kind of gets very boring. It's good to vary it up page to page because you want to keep it dynamic so the eye keeps wandering. You're not just going through the same thing all the time. Some definitely work stronger than others. I think you just need to put a little bit more time into it. Some don't really hit to me, like they're not evident. Some definitely better than others. To me, I find this the stronger project of the two. I just think it, like, I like the idea. I just think it needs a little bit more work. And I'm also finding, like, with some of your compositions, the simpler the better. Going back to like the first project, some of them feel a lot more thought out than others.
Yeah.
Like that, you know, that you can see you really thought this one out.
Well, it's a simpler
And of
environment
course
to shoot in, right? Than
Yeah,
than
but
it is in
you
marketing.
can do that anywhere.
You know, that photograph there of the bather, I know we keep going, you could have
Right.
made up so much, you know, the purple one, you know, that could have been ruined with a different, you know, more of a ham-fisted composition, but it works because of the sort of simplicity. But if, you know, going back, what Phil was saying, some of these in the market, is it market? Yeah. You know, they have a very different, like this one on the left. I'm not. Yeah, the sort of the water coming through and stuff like that. They're okay, but yeah, nothing is standing out. So excuse me, I have a cold. This kind of does. But there was one or two. Go down one, please. Bill, 21. Okay, so you know that I like the one of the legs in the van. You know, on a slightly different point. Yeah, you mentioned about connections between the images, and I'm struggling in quite a few of these to see any connection, which either is a failing of mine to sort of be, but really it's like these two here. Okay, so is that the mannequin thing in the back of the van? Okay, do you think that's worthy of a connection between the two, or do you think that's a little bit too linear?
So my initial reaction is if it doesn't have to be clear to a viewer. Sometimes it takes some time to look at it and understand it, but there needs, at least in this case, it feels like there needs to be more.
You have to remember, right, that you're not there to talk about it. So
Right.
when you see this hanging somewhere in a book, you're not there explaining it. So it has got to speak for itself as well. I like the idea. I just think you need more work with it. And like try maybe you've got one, go and shoot the other version, you know, keep working on it. It's gonna take a while. Like, how long was this one shot over?
No, it's the same thing. The other one was 2 summers, and this one every Sunday in 2021.
Yeah.
It's not too much time.
It's gonna take a lot. Like, you know, even you hear like Martin Parr say it, and some of the greats, where you might get 5 great ones in a year. All right. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, but it's got to make sense. Like that, to me, I can kind of see where that one's going, number 35, but I think it just needs more work. That's all.
The when you know, because obviously Phil was mentioning, you know, you go, how do you say 200,000 down to?
But it's 20,000 edited down to 200 for a book.
So right, so I don't know what your process is, but something I've always kind of found reason, and obviously I can't really do this with 20,000 images, but something you could try, Lewis, is printing these out physically at postcard size, and finding in there you can just lay them on the floor so you can get an overview. Because I think and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you are cataloging them in your head and kind of making connections as you go along, rather than actually going a little bit further with it and seeing what happens when you take a step back from them. Like if you go back one, Phil, right? The only connection I can see with this is the circle, the manhole covers on the right hand side and the wheel of the wheelchair, and that just feels like it's a stretch. Like you've kind of gone, I've got two shapes. Okay, we can put those two shapes together. Try and print some of these out, lay them on the floor.
Yeah.
Sit with you for a while and see how that feels to you, and group them into things, you know, and see you can play around with.
I would say the one of the best exercises I ever did was when I was doing my self-published book, is I took a wall and I put all of the images up on that wall, and they stayed there for months. And every week or so I would come along, and after sort of looking up at them through the week and living with them and seeing how they played well together, I would move them around and figure out which one's best. And, you know, it grew and migrated and became a different entity by the end, because you live with those, you live with them together. It's like getting a tattoo, right? You don't want to just go and get a tattoo when you're drunk. You want to put it up on the wall and live with it for a while, and then make a decision you're going to have a tattoo because you've decided you can live with it. I guess the thing I sort of am wondering about this is like, what's the story of this place? So this is a market, but I don't see a viewpoint.
No, it's like, so if you were doing this from like a news angle, all right, so you just, aside from projects, say you were hired by a newspaper to photograph this, right? You'd have detailed shots of what's going on, an overall, like a wide landscape. So we set location, we know where we are, then you can do like these little things, but we need that as well. We need like a good establishing shot. Another point as well, if you do plan on doing a book, I highly advise that you work with a curator as well, because you need, like I do this on the stuff that I work on. You have such a personal, close attachment to images. Something that you think is good is not going to resonate with somebody else. So I have images of mine where I will take them to like a gallery, okay, and the gallery owner will go, wow, that's the best one. And then you'll go to somebody else and they'll say something completely different. Everyone has their own taste, right? So it's important to work with somebody else who can look at it from an outside point of view and go, I can see what you're trying to do, but it doesn't work. Or we need this one would work better. And and you have to trust them that they know what they're doing as well.
So that's a really good point. And quite frankly, that's exactly why we're here on the Crit House, is try to provide some viewpoint from experts like you, Phil, and Alex, you, who have some background and understanding that can help a photographer who's developing a project like Luis to go to that next step. But yeah, absolutely. If you're going to go to that next level, get somebody to work on the project with you. And not to go back again to, you know, the book that I have back here, Sonder, but you know, I had a Meg Birnbaum, who's a Boston designer and photographer, helped me to no end to get this complete. And yeah, you have to show it to a lot of people. But again, that's what we're doing here in the Crit House.
And I think, you know, to go back to a point that Phil made, that you're not going to be there to, you know, to explain these things, and having somebody with you can say, what's this about? Or why do you like this? And if they're asking questions like that, that's already a good indication that your picture's not quite landing. You know, I was doing a little mentoring session just a couple of hours ago, where I asked one of the photographers, why do you like this? Why were you showing me this? He said, oh, because it was photographed in 1981 and I was leaning out a window. And it's like, well, that's your story for why you like it. Picture's rubbish, but you like it because of the circumstances around it, right? And that's not what you're doing. You need to be creating images that we like, irrespective of what was going on elsewhere and how you felt at the time.
Excellent point. Phil, I'll give you the last word, sir.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. You know, it takes a long time. It's 30 years for me in this business. Okay. don't, you know, just keep plowing along.
Well, Luis, oh, sorry.
Thank you
go
very
ahead.
much.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. Thank you for showing your work. It's
Yes, thank you. It's
My
it's
pleasure.
It's great to have you on. And I do want to say that both Phil and Alex do those kind of consulting things so if you're interested in having a one-on-one, you can reach out. I'll have links to their websites down below so that you can, if you're interested in having them talk to you about your photography in a little more depth beyond what we're doing here on the Crit House. You're certainly willing to do that. And if you are interested in showing your work on the Crit House, you can go to our website at thecrithouse.com. We would love to see your work and bring some expert to help you take it up to the next level. Thank you all for watching the Crit House.